So, yesterday I did a video on the depreciation of milk floats after 3 years when they go back to auction, to show that the trade-in prices are that low that they are losing money hand over fist, and it's about 80% for the cars that I showed in the video from yesterday. It's on YouTube if you want to go and watch it. It was shocking. Anyway, in the comments of that video, thank you for all the comments, by the way, all the hundreds of them. There was one bloke who said you should have done a comparison between EV and petrol so that we could see the difference. So today, I've done a comparison between EV and petrol. Now, I've chosen one of my favourite milk floats from yesterday, the Nissan Leaf, because you've got the Nissan Micra. So you've got a direct comparison between the milk float and the petrol car. So, as you'll remember, if you've watched yesterday's video, if you haven't, you won't remember. So I'll go through it again briefly. So, Nissan Leaf, 110 kilowatt Techno. It's 3 years old. It's done 48,000 miles. It's an ex-lease one, direct from Nissan's leasing company, Mobilise. It was £30,000 brand new, and it went through the auction yesterday. As you'll see in the previous video, I actually recorded the auctioneer doing it. It went through for £5,900. A loss of £24,100 or 80%. Eye-watering. So, therefore, this is the premise we're going on. So, I want you to imagine it's 2022. You got 30 grand in your pocket, and you take yourself off to the Nissan showroom, and you walk in and you go, "Hello, Mr. Salesman, sir. I got 30 grand here to buy a new car with. What do you recommend?" And he says, "Well, you could have the milk float over there," except he would call it an EV, or maybe even a BEV if he was being a gimp. Over there is the Nissan Leaf, the 110 kilowatt Techno. That's £30,000 on the road. You can have that and take it away today. Or you can have the Nissan Micra 1 litre IGT 92 N Sport. Granted, catchy title, isn't it? The Orientals really do name cars really well, don't they? We're back in the Evo R7, 6, 3, 4, 5, whatever it was territory. Jesus, it doesn't need all those letters. And at the end of the day, it's a Nissan Micra 1 litre. Putting the letters GT and Sport in it, or quite frankly taking the piss. But nevertheless, those are your two options. So, option one. You say to the dealer, "Right, mate, I'm having the Leaf." And he looks at you and goes, "Are you sure?" And you go, "Yeah, I'm having the Leaf. There's me 30 grand cash. Thank you very much." And then you get in the Leaf and you drive it out the showroom, and then you instantly get range anxiety because they haven't charged it up fully before you left the showroom. It's only got 30 miles of range. It's 20 miles to get home, and you haven't got home charging put in yet. So you don't know what you're going to do. So you have to stop somewhere and no, obviously I'm embellishing that a bit. You get in the Leaf, it's fully charged, and you drive home in absolute luxury, knowing that you are saving the planet. 3 years later, you drive that Leaf back into the showroom, not into the showroom, drive into the car park. Don't drive into the showroom. You'll have to go through the windows. Nobody wants that. Health and safety. I'm not here to get people in trouble or hurt people. So drive it into the car park, go in and see the salesman and say, "I'd like another Nissan Leaf." And he'll look at you and go, "Are you fucking mental?" And at that point, you go, "No, I'm not. I've had a lobotomy. I am now perfectly sane, and I wish to buy another Nissan Leaf. How much will you give me trading on this one?" And he says, £5,900. And you say, "Well, that's a loss of £24,100. That seems very reasonable for 3 years motoring. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like another one." That is the situation with the Nissan Leaf. Now, if you said to the salesman in 2022, "I'd like the Nissan Micra 1 litre IGT 92 N Sport," catchy, you'd pay £20,500 for it. So you hand over your £20,500 and you go out the showroom with a brand new Nissan Micra and 9.5 grand in your pocket. Now, 3 years later, you take that Nissan Micra back into the same dealership. You park it in the car park because you don't drive it into the showroom because you've learnt from the last video from about 2 minutes ago. And he says, I'll give you 7 grand for it. Granted, you've still lost 13.5 grand. It's still 65% depreciation. It's still eye-wateringly high. It's way too high than it should be. But you have done 48,000 miles in it. And it's still better than the Leaf. So you've just lost £13,500. But nevertheless, you're still better off. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Leaf lost 24,100. The Micra lost 13,500. So if you bought the Micra, you're 10,600 quid better off for not buying a milk float. Future my arse. Now, you see, that could be the end of the video right there, couldn't it? But right now, there's milk floaters ripping buttons off their cardigans. They've kicked down their understairs cupboard door and they've come clenched fist. Careful with your clenched fist, milk floaters. I know what you're like. They clench fist and they're going, oh, he hasn't talked about the running costs. He doesn't understand. Oh, ye of little faith. I do understand the running costs and I'm about to give them to you. So pin your fucking ears back and pay attention. Now, if you've driven the Micra for 48,000 miles, I've written the figures down here on my piece of paper. Look. If you've driven the Micra for 48,000 miles, I've gone for the stock figure, which is 45 miles to the gallon. I don't believe for 1 minute that Micra does 45 miles to the gallon. It's a 1 litre, 3-cylinder fucking petrol engine. It's going to do way more than that. But it says on the figures 45, so that's what we're going with. No arguments from me. I don't care. I'm that confident. Because if it did 45 to the gallon and did 48,000 miles, that is 1,066 gallons of your finest petroleum benzol, which I have averaged out at £6 per gallon. I know it's not £6 per gallon. You can get it a lot cheaper. When I was up country the other day, I noticed it was £1.29, which is about £5.70 or something. But no, for the purposes of this, £6 a litre, £6 a gallon. So that's 1,066 gallons at £6 a gallon is £6,396. That's how much it costs to run that car over 48,000 miles for 3 years. So you add, oh, hang on. I haven't done the EV charging costs, have I? Oh, I must have forgotten to do that. Oh, well, how am I going to work out the EV charging costs? Because they're so different. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, milk floaters. I'm going to assume you didn't pay a fucking penny to charge your milk float up for 3 years. That Nissan Leaf was charged by solar panels and that wanky windmill you got on your roof. And you had a low tariff of 0.0001%, 1 pence per kilowatt. And I think you'll find that I ran my car for 10,000 miles and it cost me 3p. Well, I'll do better than that. This Leaf costs nothing for 3 years. I'm giving you no running costs whatsoever. That's how generous I am. No running costs. So you charge it for free. Because I'll tell you for why. I tried to work out the charging costs and I know that you lot will go, I only pay 7 pence a kilowatt and I only pay 3 and I've got solar panels that I paid 30 grand for, but there you forget that. That's irrelevant. My fucking windmill costs 120 grand, but much like double glazing, it'll pay for itself in 20 years. So, and if you ever used a public charger, you might be paying 79 pence a kilowatt, which is what it currently is on all motorway service stations, which is way, way, way more expensive. So I've gone completely, don't worry about it. You can have the electric for free for 3 years. So, here we go. I hope you still got your ears pinned back and you're paying attention, because this is the vital bit. The difference between the loss on the Leaf and the loss on the Micra was £10,600. The Micra used £6,396 in fuel. Therefore, the difference is £4,304. So, If you had bought the Micra, cheers Zach, instead of the Leaf, you would now, after 3 years and doing 48,000 miles in it and fueling it up, and of course charging your electric one for free, if you bought the Micra, you'd be 4,304 quid better off after 3 years. And that's not even paying for charging. So it's more than that. But that is the reality of what it is to buy a milk float from a showroom, run it for 3 years, over 48,000 miles, and then go back and trade it in. That is the difference. You are 4,304 quid better off in a petrol car. And I haven't even thrown in the electric charging costs yet. Now, and I know you milk floaters are exploding with rage over this, and do you know what? I was quite happy with the 4,304 quid, and I thought, I'll be over here in Smug Corner again. Look at me, look. I've proved that running a Nissan Leaf over 3 years at 48,000 miles is far more expensive than running a Nissan Micra over the same period, doing the same things, same mileage, same thing. It's more expensive to run an EV. That should put you in Smug Corner. 4,304 quid over 3 years better off for driving a petrol because of the depreciation of the EV and how much you had to pay for it in the first place. That should be enough to get me in Smug Corner. I am finished, because you may remember some moments ago, well, about 10 minutes and 37 seconds ago, I said, if you buy the Nissan Micra and you've walked into that showroom with 30 grand, you've walked out that showroom with a Nissan Micra and £9,500 in your pocket, because it was cheaper than the Leaf to start off with. So if you had the 9.5 grand that you've still got in your pocket from 3 years ago, I mean, let's assume you haven't put it in the bank and got some interest on it, because that's just rubbing salt into the wound, isn't it? Oh no, we don't want to be doing that. So you got your 9,500 plus your 4,304 quid. You're actually 13,804 quid better off over 3 years for driving a petrol instead of a milk float. Thank you very much. No further questions. Tone's left the building. I forgot to say future my arse.